Hi, this is James Gordon Victoria here with the second book review in the James Bond series. The book I'll be talking about today, Live and Let Die. Oh, this was published by Jonathan Cape on April 5th, 1954. This edition was published by Tr- Triad Panther in 1978. This was a really good thriller. I really enjoyed it. A lot better than the film it's loosely based on, but I'll touch upon that later. But anyway, I really enjoyed this book. It's a good sequel. It had a lot of intense short moments of action, some brutal fight scenes, a shootout, and the ending was really good. It was really good. Um, with a really cool death scene of Mr. Big. His demise at the end was I really enjoyed that. There were some things with this book I didn't like, but other than that, I still overall enjoyed this novel, and I'll explain more on that in my review. Alright, on to the book review. Plot: James Bond awakens early in his Chelsea flat on a foggy morning in London by his boss M for a job. Getting dressed, he drives over to MI6 in his Bentley blower. When he reaches M's office, he is assigned to investigate a powerful black criminal with connections to the underworld, Zachary Smith, or known by his nickname, Mr. Big. Born in Hawaii with French descent, age 45, and is also leader of his Black Widow voodoo cult. He began life as a truck driver during the 30s, then moved into crime. After World War II, he was trained by the Soviets and is smuggling Spanish coins from Jamaica into the Florida Keys and New York City. It is also believed that Mr. Big is working for SMERSH and is gaining them funding. Mr. Big's favorite methods of attacking his targets are with fear, torture, and death. M wants James to look into this Mr. Big, and if there is a link between him and SMERSH, he wants him to stop it. M also informs James that he'll be working with his CI friend, Felix Leiter, and Dexter, but is warned that this is a FBI and CIA matter and isn't allowed to go against orders from both men. After getting gear and weapons, James Bond leaves London and goes to New York City. Once once he arrives, Dexter from the FBI is waiting for James as they get into a black Buick sedan and drive to a hotel where James will be staying at along with Felix waiting for them. Once all three men meet, they go over their mission along with any information they know about Mr. Big and his criminal empire. The following morning, James orders breakfast while reading the history on voodoo cults along with the rituals. Then a knock comes at the door. It's his breakfast. However, as James brings it in, he suddenly hears a ticking noise. He quickly runs for cover as the explosion goes off. While it isn't powerful enough to kill anyone, but James, Felix, and Dexter know it's a warning from Mr. Big. Later on that night, James and Felix go to one of Mr. Big's nightclubs he owns to try and track the whereabouts of him. However, both men are unaware that they are secretly being watched and followed by many members of Mr. Big's criminal syndicate. While drinking and watching an exotic dance of a topless black woman dancing to heavy drum beats with green neon lights and flashing stage lights, as the crowd is cheering and getting excited by the show, when suddenly the whole room goes dark as both James and Felix feel a rush of cold air as the table they're sitting in suddenly sinks down. When the lights turn back on, they find themselves in the basement with two large, muscular black men armed with pistols. Both James and Felix try to fight back and escape, but they are overpowered by the big men and their pistols are taken away. James is taken to see Mr. Big while Felix is placed in another room. Stepping inside Mr. Big's office, as it's very roomy with lots of shelves of books and voodoo objects. Sitting in a fancy leather chair, Mr. Big is a hulking giant with a large head. His face is gray looking like a corpse, has no hair, eyebrows, or eyelashes, golden eyes, and wearing a fancy suit. He speaks with a deep voice, and James notices both of his guards are nervous being around their own boss. Mr. Big orders his guards out of the room and tells what he knows about James and his friend Felix, along with this not being the first time he's dealt with secret agents, but Bond lies who he is and what he's doing here. Mr. Big then calls in Solitude, a fortune teller from Haiti. She appears behind a fake bookshelf that's a hidden door. However, to his horror, Mr. Big whips her across the back and demands she reads James' fortune to ensure he isn't lying. She does and reveals that Bond isn't lying. Unsatisfied, Mr. Big lets both James and Felix go, but not before beating up Felix and breaking James's left little finger as a warning. As one of the guards is taking James to have his body dumped in Central Park, James manages to break free from the guard and take back his 38 Colt police revolver and kill the guard along with several more of Mr. Big's men. James is able to steal a car and drive out of the warehouse to reach safety. He is glad to hear that Felix also made it too. While recovering, Felix is going to St. Petersburg, Florida, where he'll meet up with James as it would be safer to travel separate. Then James gets an unexpected phone call from Solitude. She wants to help James bring down Mr. Big, fearing for her life, and will tell him everything she knows about. Unsure if this is a trap or not, but after threatening to kill herself if he refuses to help, James accepts her offer and tells her to go to the train station to get a ticket for the Silver Phantom. Once on board, he meets Solitude. She explains that Mr. Big is in fact working for Smersh and is one of the most powerful men in America. He also has a large number of spies dubbed the Eyes, as they'll follow anyone he wants along with getting information on anything. She also warns that Mr. Big knows he's going to Florida. During the trip, the two get to know each other more, and James makes a move on Solitude as the two kiss and make out, but are unable to continue due to James's left broken finger. Annoyed, but Solitude assures him he'll get the chance to get it on with her. When they reach Jacksonville, they switch trains to try to lose the Eyes, but they are still spotted in the Everglades, who contact Mr. Big and sends in the robber to deal with them. After reaching a hotel, James and Solitude regroup with Felix. He tells James Mr. Big's boat, Second Tour, has been spotted as he's been using it to smuggle in the stolen coins and other goods, and there's a warehouse they plan on checking out. However, things go from bad to worse when Solitude is kidnapped and Felix barely survives after checking out Mr. Big's warehouse, only to fall into a trap as he loses his arm, his leg, and his face is badly damaged from a shark attack. James Bond swears revenge on Mr. Big and plans to shut down his smuggling operation and save Solitude. After getting the gear and weapons he'll need, James travels to Jamaica with the aid of a fishing boat captain, Quarrel. They track down the Sagitar out in the tropical sea. While Mr. Big believes he is untouchable as nothing can harm a man who isn't afraid of death, but James Bond always has a trick up his sleeve. Live and Let Die was a good thriller novel with short yet intense moments of action along with gruesome death scenes I enjoyed. Very well written, as Ian Fleming does a great job of detail on locations, well crafted and layered characters, and even adds some dark humor into the story. Mr. Big was a menacing yet cunning villain who used fear and intimidation on both his allies and enemies to ensure he has tight control over everyone he uses. And the finale was great. Really enjoyed it, along with the fight scene with James Bond against the robber. While the pacing was good, however, there were a few things I didn't like, such as James Bond turning to law enforcement to try and arrest the robber, only for him to walk away as a free man with no evidence to link him to any crimes he's done. I would have rather had this scene cut out and just have James Bond go after him in the warehouse than trying to use the law to bring down one of Mr. Big's criminals. Other than that, I still enjoyed it. As for the 73 film Live and Let Die, starring Roger Moore, avoid it. It's corny and very goofy adaptation of a good thriller novel. Most of the plot is changed around from smuggling gold coins to drugs, along with other ridiculous shenanigans that happen within the film. Dr. Kananga was added to the film, altering the original villain name and role from the novel, along with one of the most goofiest death scenes I've ever saw of a man literally being blown up like a balloon. And no blaxploitation theme film is incomplete without your typical redneck lawman. The film is nothing more than a terrible joke, as the studio admitted they took advantage of the popularity of blaxploitation films during the early 70s. Why it was a hit at the box office is beyond me. Overall, I highly recommend Live and Let Die. It's a good sequel to the James Bond series with good moments of action and lots of interesting locations, and the wild topless dance scene is a lot of fun too. You don't want to miss out on this thrilling adventure with your favorite British MI6 spy. And that's it for the review today. Hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, I really liked the sequel, Live and Let Die. It was a really good thriller. I really like the locations it goes to, like from foggy London to the urban big city New York, and then the tropical paradise in Jamaica and stuff. I really enjoyed it. Probably one of my favorite scenes in the book is when James Bond and Felix are going to this nightclub, and it's really dark, and they're seeing all the night people come out and stuff, and then they go to this nightclub, and it's just this wild, exotic show. That was a really well-written scene. I just like the detail that Amy Fleming describes, and then later on where he goes to Florida, then to the Caribbean and Jamaica. I really enjoyed those parts, and there's even some dark humor in this story. There's a part where James Bond and this fishing boat captain are looking for Mr. Big's boat, and they're going for this like out in this like tropical waters, and they're noticing a lot of predator fish in the area, and James is concerned about this because he has to swim to the boat to get there, and he is nearly attacked by this like barracuda or some predator fish, and the captain kills it, and he says, "Don't worry, James, I got you covered." And James Bond replies, "I hope so, because I don't have another face to spare." So that part made me chuckle. It was really good. Um, the little scene, the little bits of action we get are really good. They're very intense. This is not supposed to be like a big like Hollywood action movie. It's just, it's a spy thriller with short, intense moments of action I really enjoyed. And yeah, the characters are all very well written. I enjoyed them. There wasn't a character I disliked and stuff. Other than that, there was the one scene I didn't like. Like I said, like James Bond turning to the law to try to arrest one of Mr. Big's criminals. I thought, why add this in? Just have James Bond go after the guy. Like, it's kind of pointless. Like as it stated, Mr. Big is one of the most powerful criminals in America at the moment, and he can do whatever he wants. And pretty much he's able to use his power to get one of his criminals like let go and stuff, and like have no investigation on him because that's how powerful he is. I thought, why bother adding this scene? I just would have preferred if James Bond went after the robber instead of trying to get the police to arrest him and stuff. Yeah, that was the one scene I just kind of didn't like. Other than that, I still enjoyed the book. Yeah, as for the film, it is a terrible joke. Like, out of the Roger Moore era, there are only three James Bond films I liked with Roger Moore in them, which were The Man with the Golden Gun, The Spy Who Loved Me, and A View to a Kill. Those are the only three I enjoyed. The rest, that was the one thing that really bugged me with the studio that made those films. It's like they couldn't decide if they should be, like do it, like be serious with it or be funny with it, and they just kept kind of going like back and forth. Like the thing with me with a James Bond film, it should be in the middle. It should be fun, entertaining, have its moments of action while not taking itself too seriously, and then add your dark humor into it. That's what a James Bond film should be. And with the Roger Moore era, it's like they couldn't decide on what direction to go, and it's like, do we make it serious or do we make it funny? And Live and Let Die is just straight up all like comedy. It's like they're trying to make a spy comedy and stuff. And me and my father had joked we consider Live and Let Die the loose sequel to You Only Live Twice, or as me and my father have dubbed it, You Won't See This Twice, because that's how awful that movie is. But I'll explain that later on in my later book review of that book. One last thing I'm going to bring up with Live and Let Die. I am reading the original text of the James Bond series. I am not reading any of the um, updated rewrite works, because to me that is wrong to take an author's work and rewrite it for today's audience and stuff. Um, so I will give a heads up. This book can be a bit racist. Now, the author himself is not racist. It's just the way the story is, and that's how people had a different way of thinking back then. So you have to remember this when you go and read it. It's not the worst thing I've read. I've read worse books where the author just like flat out just targets other races and just basically eviscerates them. So please go in knowing that this book is from a different time, and do not judge it harshly or its author. That's all I'm going to say. Other than that, I still enjoyed it. Alright, that's it for the book review today. I hope you enjoyed it. And for the third book in the series, I will begin reading Moonraker. I'll get started on this right away, as this month is almost over, and I want to pump out as many James Bond books as I can, as this is a big series. As I got 12 books to go now, so I got 2 done. It's a 14-book series, so I got 12 more to go. So I want this taking too long. Alright, if you enjoyed this video, please like it, share it, and please don't forget to subscribe to our Library, the YouTube channel, and the Facebook group with the same name. Please post your review of fiction. Until then, I'll catch you later. The studio admitted they took advantage of the popularity of blaxploitation films during the early 70s. Why it was a hit at the box office is beyond me. Overall, I highly recommend Live and Let Die. It's a good sequel to James Bond novel series with good moments of action and lots of intense Hi. Overall,